Are you ready to level up your game and you're going to join a coaching program? Well, if that's the case, I've spent tens of thousands of my own hard earned dollars into coaching programs myself. Had some great experiences, some not so great experiences. I've had some scams. I fell for some things myself. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all the red flags, the gotchas, the things to look for to know when you're in the right program for you, the things that you should expect to get as part of a coaching program, some of the things that you should not expect, and just a general consensus on all things coaching. So, with that, guys, let's jump in. All right. So, if you're anything like me, your newsfeed on any particular social platform, typically every third ad, you see some dipshit with chains and a Lamborghini trying to sell you his online course. This is the first big red flag to watch out for. Most of the real coaches out there aren't walking around looking like a cheesy lunatic. But if anybody's driving super cool cars or looking like they're a celebrity wearing big chains or goofy crap like that, most of the real people that I've met in real estate who are willing to offer themselves up to be a coach, they look, talk, and act like normal people that you run into on the street, not these high flying sales guys that try to spit out all too much information and guarantee you that you'll make millions as well if you just buy their course for $2.99. So if you see those really cheesy ads, your spidey senses should start to go up. And if you feel like you still want to inquire a little bit more, look a little bit deeper and see what their guarantee or their offer actually is. If you read into this anymore and they offer to guarantee any success or guarantee anything without hard work, or they're pitching a course that you can download as long as you pay the fee, those are a lot of red flags and scams that people try to go out and create this online course, upload to the internet, then they run paid ads against a course that they created in hopes that they can just sell you the course. And once they did, then they're done with you. What you want to be looking for if you're truly looking for a real estate coach to level up your game is an ongoing relationship, something you can have access to, reach out to this coach and have some successful things that we'll talk about here in just a second. But you're effectively looking for a relationship, not a transaction that they spit out in these online ads. Since most people aren't familiar with what coaching actually means or what you should expect, because 90% of the crap you see on your socials is just absolute bullshit, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what great coaching programs actually look like. And if you stay to the end, you'll hear about my experience with these coaches up here and some of the things I learned, some of the pros, the cons, etc., with them as well. So what a good coach or coaching program should look like is a community of frequent interactions with that coach and the other students or other people in that coaching program. And when I say community, that can look like a multiple of different ways. It can be a Facebook group, although I've seen the actual good programs, they don't go with a free tool like Facebook. Most of them use a Slack community. You have a community of folks that you can connect with, you can reach out to and interact with outside of just your coach being involved in there. It should also look like frequent touch points with that coach or group of coaches. The goal shouldn't be once you're in the program, hey, you're off on your own, go watch this course and interact with the other communities, which I've seen that before. There needs to be, in my opinion, at least a minimum of one coaching call per week where that coach is here to provide some input to you, some coaching, right? Isn't that weird? A coach should actually have to do some coaching. In most groups I've seen, there's a minimum of two, usually 2 to 3 calls per week, where it's usually an hour-long call. 30 to 40 minutes of that call is the coach, more of a one-way, hey, here are some things you should do, here's some mindset you should have around this particular area. Maybe we're going to focus on this particular thing tonight. We're going to focus on leads, cost per lead. How do we get that number down, right? Usually they pick one topic, they go deep on that topic. And then the last part of that call or the end or, a good chunk of that call should be open for Q&A because everybody's situation is different. And one of the big reasons you pay for coaching is to gain and pay for that experience that coach already has, right? So there needs to be some portion of which you have the forum in which you can reach out with your specific question and your specific market around how should I handle this. And that's one of the most valuable portions that you'll get out of a coaching program, aside from just the systems and processes that most of them will have. Not only your problems you'll benefit from. So if you're on this call and you don't have a particular question that day or that night, you get to hear what other people are struggling with in their market. And often this helps you get ahead or think ahead of how can I avoid that problem in my particular business. So you get a wide swath of problems and hearing, Q&A. You need that question and the answer to really help you think about your business and how you might need to adjust or tweak things to not put yourself in that particular scenario. So we talked about community. We talked about weekly calls or touch points with that particular coach. The other piece is that most of these good coaching programs have is some form of curriculum. Now, we talked early on about these scams of go watch my course bullcrap that you see out there. It should not be something like that. There should be some level of here is the foundation or here's how we think about things. You may watch a course on here's the fundamentals of lead generation and here are the three things we want you to go do after you watch this video. There needs to be some level of tactical application to what you just learned. For example, these are the systems we use in our CRM, and here are the drip sequences that we write into there to touch base with a new lead when it comes in. We send them this message. Now, go out and set up your account with this CRM, input this message as your template, right? Something like that, where you got to learn something, you learn what system they're using, and then how to take a step towards building your business into that particular system for you. Right? It does no good to just learn about a system if it's not relevant or it's not something that you can directly apply to your business. One of the big questions I get about coaching is, should I expect to pay? Now, this seems kind of silly where I am today, but I'm answering this because I actually had that question early on of I thought all coaches were scams and I wasn't going to pay for anything. But if you truly think about it, somebody's went out and learned very valuable skills. They put their time, effort into doing so. They have a high value skill set that they can use and go out and generate money in their own markets and be well and fine. But they've actually decided to carve out a portion of their time to either create a framework in which others can benefit from their education. And now they're using their much more valuable time to devote to these weekly calls, to onboarding, to building out systems, communicating with the community, right? They have highly valuable skills, and now you're buying into their hours of the day. So why would you not expect to pay for that? So it took me a while to get there, and so I understand where you're coming from with that question. But yes, you should definitely pay to play, to be a part of that. Another thing that a paywall does is it actually separates the people who are serious from the people who are just wanting to experiment and screw around all day. I'll tell you, my first coaching program was more than $10,000, and it felt like the biggest purchase of my life because I had no idea what to expect on the other end. But you can bet your ass once I paid that $10,000, I was the most committed person that I've probably ever been. So there's another benefit to making that payment. It sets yourself up for accountability to say, hey, if I'm willing to put my hard-earned money up to learn these things, you bet your ass I'm going to do it. I'm going to set aside time. I'm going to do every freaking thing that this coach tells me to do because I made that commitment with my hard-earned money to do so. You get all those benefits associated with paying. So I would separate yourself out from not wanting to pay for good coaching when good coaches aren't just going to go out and do this stuff for free. And if they are going to do it, they want to do it with people who are committed, who are actually going to take action, listen to what they have to say, and be good representatives of their coaching program when they go out in the community. And lastly, just ask yourself this. If you want to spend $200 on a coaching program, expect to get about $200 worth of value out of that program, which is not very much, especially when we're talking real estate, when you're dealing with very high ticket items being houses. Right. So you have to come to a point, and I know it will take some time. It did for me, but you have to talk to yourself and be comfortable with, hey, this is going to cost, and I'm willing to pay to get in the game. All right. So let's assume that you kind of made your way through this. You're ready to commit. You're just trying to find out who the right coach is for your particular goals. Here are some questions that I would ask before joining any coaching program going forward. The first big thing to look for in a coach is what their actual experience is. If they don't have an easily documentable way for you to go out and research and figure out, have they actually done what I want to be coached on doing? Like for me in real estate, doing off-market deals, has somebody successfully built a business around generating off-market leads and closing on off-market deals? If they haven't, then why the hell would I pay to do that? So one, if they don't have a way for you to go out and see that, whether that's social media, Googling their name, chatting with other people. This is actually a relatively small community in real estate investing. I know it feels big, but if there is a bad apple out there, it's very easy to find out if you're just in these free Facebook communities, etc. Look on YouTube. If these coaches don't have a social media presence or a presence on YouTube, chances are, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. If you do go out and find their content, one, it should be very crystal clear whether or not they're actually doing deals by the posts they're making, by the topics they're talking about. And if they are doing deals, most of them are willing to give you free content. They have free content out there as their lead magnet. These guys are putting content out there, hoping to find interested people in real estate so they can ultimately put them into their funnel to get into coaching. But the big thing that I always tell people is if you go out and watch 10 of their videos, if you can't implement anything from their free content, the likelihood of you being able to implement something from the paid content is probably pretty low. You should get a lot of value out of their free content, enough for you to be willing to take that next step and say, okay, I like what I'm seeing. I want to pay for more. I want more personalized approach. A lot of these coaches put a lot of their stuff out on the internet for free. The coaching program is just a more organized, concise way of doing that and a more direct feedback loop if you're not following accordingly or you have a specific question. Whereas on YouTube, if they don't answer your specific question in their video, I mean, you can drop it in the comment and hope for an answer, but this is more just a sped up process and a more organized approach to go out and finding that exact piece of information at the right time that you need it. A big thing that I didn't know you could actually do, but one of my coaches actually offered this to me when I was in the consideration process and I talked with him. Like I said, since most of them have weekly calls that you are available to you when you're in the coaching program, ask to join one of those calls as a part of your consideration if you want to be in that program. So then you get a free behind the scenes look at what are the actual calls structured like? What kind of value is this coach providing to the current students? What kind of questions are they asking? How many of them? Are there two or are there 200? You kind of want that happy medium. You don't want there to be two, right? You want more of a proof of concept, like multiple people are in here and they're paying because they see value in it. And you also don't want 200 or 2,000 because, okay, if there are 2,000 people here and I have a question, what are the odds that I'm actually going to be heard and have that direct line of communication with that coach? So two of the best programs I were in were somewhere in the 100 to 200 people range. And it varies, it'll fluctuate, but I would look for that. Ask to join a call, maybe go in with a prepared question to ask during that call while you're in that free call. But ask to join and get a free look behind the scenes at what you'll actually be joining so you actually know what to expect when you do pay to be in there. You should also ask what kind of access you'll get with them going forward. This one's kind of hard to judge. You really just have to use your gut to say, are they lying to me or are they telling the truth? But most of the time, you want to expect some kind of weekly touch point like we talked on before. And then, hey, if I have a question, do I have a direct channel with you? Or are you going to say, if you have questions, talk to Susie down the street, and Susie will tell Kyle to come find me if they can't answer the questions? That's probably not what you want. Not saying you need direct access for every single question. A lot of these coaches are busy. There should be a forum for you to be able to reach out directly if you have a particular issue that's not being handled. And lastly, ask them for testimonials. I mean, most of them will have them very bright and clear on their websites or socials of testimonials, but maybe say, hey, can I chat with 2 or 3 folks like me? Or do you have somebody that comes to mind that's kind of in my shoes or my position where I have 1 deal or I want to get to 2 deals? Throw me somebody in your group that I can ask a couple questions to kind of get that feedback from somebody on my level. Some of these coaches are, they're doing 10 deals a month. That's hard to really relate back to somebody who just wants to get started. So ask them for a testimony or somebody like that you can chat with. And if they're good, in most cases, they're going to be happy for you to talk to anybody in their community because they know that their community is thriving with successful people and they want that to rub off on you and see yourself in their shoes. All right, so lastly, as promised, I'm going to give you guys my coaching experience with the one and only Ryan Dossey in his group CCF or Create Cash Flow. And then I'm going to talk about my experience with Mike Dahan and Dan Austin of the Scale community. I spent over a year in both of these communities and had a fantastic experience and really met a lot of lifelong friends. That's one aspect I was not expecting going in is the people you meet, the character, the time you spend with them on some of these retreats and experiences like that, and people that I still talk to today from that. But I'll start off with Ryan. Ryan's group is called Create Cash Flow, and I'll link to Ryan's stuff down below. I highly recommend you follow him even if you're not into coaching. He puts out a ton of awesome stuff on YouTube. Hence the free content I talked about before. He tells you exactly how to pull lists, mail stuff, etc. If you want to figure out how to do your first deal, you can do it for free watching his YouTube channel. But Ryan's group, just a couple of things that I'll talk about in there and who I think is good for. Ryan, I would call is, and keep in mind, this was over 2 years ago. This group could have changed by now, but the way I view that is more of a 101, like one of the best people I would recommend going from 0 to I want to join coaching and learn this business is really phenomenal for that. Ryan is I'd say like a genius marketing master. I don't know, too many M's there, but just a really brilliant mind when it comes to marketing. And so he really teaches you, he almost starts off the program of teaching you how to brand yourself in your market, how to build a brand that's not the rooftop business, AJ buys houses crap, but to actually build a brand that ranks on social, all this marketing stuff that is not intuitive unless you come from that background, and then how to roll that into sales and build a sales system with following up with leads, how to stay organized with leads, how to, funnel leads in and out of your systems. I mean, it's really great for someone going from 0 to just wanting to do a couple deals a month in the off-market space. Ryan actually became a good friend and wrote the foreword to my book that I wrote all about investing in HELOCs. and I met tons of other great people in his community as well. One of my favorite experiences in that community was going on these in-person mastermind events. Almost all coaching programs have this, but this is where you go out with, I think it was 12 or so people. We went down to Florida and rented this like massive big beach house and spent like 3 to 4 days just networking, masterminding with these really brilliant people. You know, it's when you spend these weekly calls with people, it's one thing, but to really spend 3 days of nonstop interaction and learn all about these people, it was really fantastic. So I really recommend Ryan to anybody who really wants to get started. And next, I joined later in my investing career. I ended up joining up with a partner and building out my off-market business with a 50-50 partner. So when I did that, I wanted to join. I know 2 people that I actually met in Ryan's coaching program, Mike Dahan and Dan Austin. These are 2 rock star guys. Even in Ryan's group, it was obvious like these 2 are going to go out and do something cool. And we stayed in touch over the years. And when I decided to link up with my partner, I learned that Mike and Dan actually had their own coaching program. And I said, if I want to work with a partner, I want to learn from these 2 guys and learn from the best who have built a partnership together. And actually, what they built is super impressive. So I actually went out and spent over a year in their coaching program as well. Their coaching program is called the Scale Community. That actually stands for something, a scale framework. But check out Mike's super active on Instagram, Mike_invest. Dan, I think it's Dan Austin. I don't need to find him out there. But both of them put out a lot of really good free content. Again, some of those things that like successful things leave clues. Check them out on social. You can get a lot of, they actually have a really good podcast, a weekly podcast. They put out stuff where you should be able to do multiple deals a month. Just listen to their podcast of all the advice and stuff they do. My favorite part about that program is just the no bullshit, cutthroat. Like you will get the exact answer you're looking for with zero fluff around it. There's just 2 straight shooting guys, and not in a mean way. Like they'll still coach you through and talk you through it, but you're not going to wonder when you get off the call exactly what your next step is, because they're very clear, concise, straight to business. They operate in markets all across the country, so they're very quick to give you advice based on data, like data-driven advice that I found very helpful. Their program, I would call more of a 201. You know, Ryan's was like a 101. Theirs is a 201. These programs could have changed by now, but theirs was more of, okay, I'm doing multiple deals a month. How do I bring on a team? I want to bring other people on and be able to successfully manage, give them the tools, give the team the tools to be successful in their own right. How do I manage the right numbers? What are the things to manage? What are the KPIs for managing a team of people operating in this exact space? So people building out the exact business that I wanted to build. I have all the metrics, all the reports, all the free things that they give you as part of this community. And they also built a fantastic in-person experience. We spent a weekend out in California, deep diving into building a team and uncovering the real bottlenecks in your business and how to scale and build it out to exactly the level that you want it to be. So I highly recommend that group as well if you're more into that. If you're just not sure which group to join, follow them all on social. Feel which one interacts and vibes more with your natural tendencies. I mean, that was the biggest thing for me. If you can't see yourself sitting around having a beer, or if you don't do alcohol, sitting around and having lunch or coffee with these people and feeling like it might be awkward, or this guy's kind of a tool, or I don't like how cocky he is, don't join their program, because you're only going to get more of what you see out there on the free version. So make sure it's something that jives with your personality, and I think you'll have a much better level of success. So I hope this was helpful, guys. And my opinion now is a lot different than it was 5 years ago, but now I believe coaching is truly undervalued in the fact that you can pull experience out of it. You know, it takes these people 5-10 years to build out and learn this experience, and you get it for free in 5 minutes if you download and implement exactly what they're telling you to do. The best coaches, the best athletes, the best business people in the world pay for coaching. So there is a need for that, but there is also a need to be able to know who are the real coaches, who are worth the value, and who are full of shit. So I help you guys navigate that territory. If you have specific questions, drop them down below. I'm happy to share anything about either one of my coaching experiences. Some of the things that I got caught up in were more of just the online scam, pay this much for this crappy course kind of thing. So I'm not going to dive deep into that. But guys, if you got value or you think anybody else might share or subscribe, would be incredibly grateful. But with that, I'm Tyler Wayrung, and we'll catch you next time.